Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf for IT Visualizer channel. We will continue our lab, the Matrix Labs, the video number 86. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have finished talking about the event viewer and its components. What is the purpose of the event viewer? What are the freeware programs that can be an alternative for the event viewer and a good alternative, and how event viewer is a very good tool for troubleshooting different problems concerning our operating system, our Active Directory. It can be used as a very good tool for forensic uh, uh, evidence, or for collecting forensic evidence, or on working on security events, something like if you need to know when a user had logged into the machine, what files he had opened. All of this can be done using an event viewer, troubleshooting problems concerning the Active Directory, the DNS, the group policies, who has modified a certain group policy, crashing of some applications. All of this can be done using the event viewer. We have used as a reference for our explanation the videos from the Tech Savvy production YouTube channel by Mr. Lo van der Poel, and he has a very good video talking about the event viewer, and very useful PowerPoint slides and PDFs talking about this topic. Today we will try to add more maybe value, or try to add some additional content concerning the event viewer, but using the AI tools we'll try to create situations and problems and see how the event viewer can solve them using the AI tool. So the AI tool, Claude or ChatGPT, will try to create scenarios based on the event viewer, or create events or problems that event viewer can solve it. So let's go and see. First of all, here is ChatGPT. The first thing, I have already added the PDF for Mr. Lo van der Poel, notes for event viewer tools for IT Pro. This is the PDF that is attached to the video he is talking about event viewer. So I have already feed the ChatGPT 4.0 with this PDF and asked him to explain the event viewer from the notes of Mr. Lo van der Poel, like I'm a junior IT administrator learning Active Directory. Show this concept, how it works in Active Directory, provide a reward scenario, include common pitfalls to avoid. So this was his answer. Let's try to read it loudly.
The Event Viewer in Windows is a powerful tool for monitoring and troubleshooting events within an IT environment. For an IT administrator working with Active Directory AD, Event Viewer can help in diagnosing issues, ensuring security, and auditing activities within the domain. How Event Viewer works in Active Directory AD. Event Viewer logs events such as user logins, account changes, policy updates, and system events. These logs are grouped into categories like security, application, and system, as well as logs for specific services like Active Directory. Key logs for AD monitoring. 1. Security log. Logs authentication attempts, both successful and failed, e.g. event IDs 4624 for successful logins, 4625 for failed logins. Tracks changes to accounts, e.g. creation, deletion, lockouts, using IDs such as 4720, user account created, and 4726, user account deleted, 7 source. 2. Directory service logs. Provides details about AD-specific activities like replication issues, schema changes, and AD database errors. 3. Audit policy logs. Tracks changes to audit policies, e.g. event ID 4719, and policy enforcement across the domain 7 source. Real-world scenario. Imagine an IT admin discovers that a user account was locked out. Using Event Viewer, they can 1. Open the security log and filter for event ID 4625, which logs failed logon attempts. 2. Identify the source of failed attempts, such as a workstation or a potential brute force attack. 3. Correlate with event ID 4740, account lockout, to understand when and why the account was locked. 4. Use event ID 4776 NTLM authentication to verify if the attempts were due to an incorrect password. This analysis helps determine if the lockout was a legitimate mistake or part of a security breach. Common pitfalls to avoid. 1. Overlooking log retention policies. If logs overwrite due to space constraints, critical information could be lost. Ensure sufficient disk space and configure retention appropriately. 2. Failing to enable detailed auditing. Default logging might not capture granular details. Configure advanced audit policies in Group Policy to log specific events like object access or PowerShell usage 6 source 7 source. 3. Ignoring false positives. Not all failed logins are malicious. Automated scripts or outdated cached credentials can generate frequent login failures. 4. Not centralizing logs. For larger environments, centralize logs using tools like Windows Event Forwarding, or a SIEM solution to aggregate and analyze logs across domain controllers 7 source. Best practices. Use filters. Event Viewer's filtering options allow administrators to quickly isolate relevant events by event ID, user, or time range. Integrate PowerShell. Automate log searches using commands like getWinEvent to query and analyze logs programmatically. Monitor AD-specific events. Focus on IDs that indicate AD operations, such as 4741, computer account created, and 4742, computer account changed 7 source. Use third-party tools. Tools like Event Log Analyzer or Graylog can provide enhanced visualization and alerting for log data 6 source. Event Viewer is essential for proactive system management and security in an Active Directory environment. Proper configuration and regular review of logs ensure domain integrity and help troubleshoot issues effectively.
So this is the answer of ChatGPT. Maybe it summarizes most of the content that we were trying to explaining in the previous 2 videos, even though it's not or some parts are not explained, but it just summarizes a lot of things concerning the Event Viewer. If we go to Claude and try to see his answer, it will be I think better because I have already read it before, but anyway, let's see his answer and see what he can do or can provide us with what. If we do this and try to read it loudly, let's try to read it.
Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all events, some are normal, but to understand. Let me explain Event Viewer tools in the context of Active Directory management, making it practical and relatable for a junior IT administrator. Think of Event Viewer as your security camera system and Detective Notebook combined for your Active Directory environment. Just like a security guard reviews camera footage to understand what happened during an incident, you'll use Event Viewer to investigate and troubleshoot AD issues. Real-world scenario. Imagine you come to work on Monday morning and several users report they couldn't log into their accounts. Here's how Event Viewer helps you investigate. Investigation process. Open Event Viewer, event for .msc. Navigate to Windows Logs Security. Look for event ID 4625 failed login attempts. Check the timestamps around when users reported issues. You might discover multiple failed login attempts from a single IP address, indicating a possible brute force attack, or you might find that a domain controller was having authentication issues during that time period. Key event logs for AD administrators. The 3 most important logs you'll work with are Security Log, tracks login attempts, permission changes, and security-related events. Example, event ID 4720 shows when a new user account is created. Critical for security auditing and compliance. Application Log, shows issues with applications and services. Example, event ID 1000 might indicate when an application crashes. Helps troubleshoot software-related problems affecting AD. System Log, records operating system and component events. Example, event ID 1074 shows system restart information. Useful for tracking system-level issues affecting AD services. Best practices. Regular monitoring. Set aside time each morning to review critical events from the previous 24 hours. This proactive approach helps you catch issues before they become major problems. Custom views. Create custom views for specific AD-related events. For example, failed login attempts, event ID 4625. Account lockouts, event ID 4740. Group membership changes, event ID 4728, 4732, 4756. Event forwarding. Set up Windows Event Forwarding WEF to centralize logs from all domain controllers. This gives you a single place to monitor AD events across your environment. Common pitfalls to avoid. Log size limitations. The most common mistake is not configuring adequate log size and retention policies. When logs are full, new events overwrite old ones, potentially losing crucial information. Solution. Configure appropriate log sizes based on your environment. Security log. At least 4 gigabytes for domain controllers. Application log. 2 to 4 gigabytes. System log. 2 to 4 gigabytes. Missing context. Don't look at events in isolation. For example, a single failed login 4625 might not be concerning, but multiple failures followed by a successful login 4624 could indicate a breach. Neglecting proactive monitoring. Many administrators only check Event Viewer after problems occur. Set up alerts for critical events using tools like PowerShell scripts or third-party solutions. Information overload. Event Viewer can generate thousands of events daily. Don't try to monitor everything. Solution. Focus on critical events first. Account lockouts. Service failures. Replication issues. Privilege escalations. Advanced tip. Learn to use PowerShell with GetWhenEvent for more efficient log analysis. For example, PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag get recent failed login attempts GetWhenEvent filter hashable at logname equals security ID equals 4625 start time sad face get date add days -1. Keep in mind that Event Viewer is not just a troubleshooting tool. It's your primary source for security auditing, compliance reporting, and proactive monitoring. Make it a habit to check your logs regularly, and you'll become much more effective at managing your AD environment. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all events, some are normal, but to understand what's normal in your environment so you can quickly spot what isn't.
So as we can see here, this is a very, very good answer and actually more detailed than ChatGPT and contains a lot of useful information and even some PowerShell scripts. Sorry guys, on how you can get events through PowerShell. For example, if we need to open the event viewer like that, we can right click and run, and we can type event VWR. This was stated in his answer. We can see here this is some logs that are that are filtered, so we can open it like that. If we need to, for example, get some events, I will open PowerShell ICE, and for example, let me show you all something like this. So if I try to get this script, if I go further, see, you will get the events I will get the events not for failed login, for successful logins from one day. If I copy this and put it in my PowerShell ISE like this one and try to give him 4, this is successful events, it is one day. If I try to do that, not failed login attempts, this is for successful login attempts. We try to run the script. So as you can see here, this is for one day from the beginning of the day, as we can see here, until my recent access today at 11:21:48 a.m. from about maybe 5 or 6 minutes. Okay, so this is very, very good answer, and I see it's better than ChatGPT. So let's go and try to ask to give us some exercises so we can see how events are monitored, filtered, and so on. So let's see some hands-on exercise for event viewer tools in Active Directory. Let's read the answer.
Hands-on exercises for Event Viewer tools in Active Directory. Environment requirements. Access to a virtual lab with Windows Server with Active Directory Domain Services ADDS installed. A Windows 10 client machine joined to the domain. PowerShell installed on both machines. Administrative credentials for the domain. Event Viewer access on both systems. Test user accounts and groups configured in AD. Exercise 1. Understanding basic.
See, as we can see here, this is happening a lot. I don't know why I failed to let me read it through the through another utility. Sorry, let's go further and go back. I'll try to select it all. Just a moment. Okay, we can go to the bonus. Okay, and then this is the last line. Okay, now we can read it loud.
Hands-on exercises for Event Viewer tools in Active Directory. Environment requirements. Access to a virtual lab with Windows Server with Active Directory Domain Services ADDS installed. A Windows 10 client machine joined to the domain. PowerShell installed on both machines. Administrative credentials for the domain. Event Viewer access on both systems. Test user accounts and groups configured in AD. Exercise 1. Understanding basic Event Viewer navigation. Objective. Learn to navigate the Event Viewer and identify key logs related to Active Directory. Scenario. A junior IT admin must locate and review logs for recent logon events. Instructions. Log into the domain controller DC using administrative credentials. Open Event Viewer by typing Event Viewer in the Run dialog when +R. Navigate to Windows Logs, Security. Use the filter option to locate events with ID 4624, successful logon. Review the event details, noting the user account and the source IP address. Expected outcome. Users identify successful logon events in the security log. Verification steps. Confirm that events with ID 4624 are displayed. Verify the details, such as username and logon type. Exercise 2. Auditing account creation. Objective. Configure logging for account creation events and review related logs. Scenario. Track and audit the creation of new Active Directory accounts. Instructions. On the DC, open Group Policy Management and edit the default domain controller's policy. Navigate to Computer Configuration, Policies, Windows Settings, Security Settings, Advanced Audit Policy Configuration, Audit Policies, Account Management. Enable Audit User Account Management for both success and failure. Create a test user in AD using Active Directory users and computers. Open Event Viewer and filter logs under Security for event ID 4720. Expected outcome. The new user account creation event is logged. Verification steps. Confirm the presence of event ID 4720 in the logs. Verify the username and time of the event. Exercise 3. Investigating logon failures. Objective. Use Event Viewer to diagnose failed logon attempts. Scenario. An IT admin must investigate multiple failed logons for a single user. Instructions. Log into the DC and open Event Viewer. Navigate to Security Logs and filter for event ID 4625 failed logon. Identify the source IP and reason for failure, e.g., incorrect password or disabled account. Attempt a failed login from the client machine using an incorrect password to generate a log entry. Expected outcome. Failed logon attempts are logged with event ID 4625. Verification steps. Confirm the source IP matches the client machine. Verify the reason for failure in the event details. Exercise 4. Monitoring group membership changes. Objective. Audit and review changes to group memberships. Scenario: a junior admin needs to verify if a user was added to a sensitive group like domain admins. Instructions. On the DC, enable auditing for group management. Navigate to Group Policy Management, Audit Policy, Audit Security Group Management, and enable it for success and failure. Add a test user to the domain admins group using Active Directory users and computers. Open Event Viewer and filter for event ID 4728. Member added to a security-enabled global group. Expected outcome. The event logs the group membership change. Verification steps. Confirm event ID 4728 is present. Verify the username and group name in the event details. Exercise 5. Diagnosing account lockouts. Objective. Identify the cause of account lockouts using Event Viewer. Scenario: a user reports being locked out of their account multiple times. Instructions. Trigger an account lockout by entering the wrong password on the client machine multiple times. On the DC, open Event Viewer and filter the security logs for event ID 4740, account lockout. Identify the source of the failed login attempts from the event details. Expected outcome. The account lockout is logged, including the source. Verification steps. Confirm event ID 4740 is present. Verify the username and source workstation in the event details. Exercise 6. Setting up and using Windows Event Forwarding, WEF. Objective. Configure and use WEF to centralize logs from multiple machines. Scenario: an admin sets up WEF to collect logs from all domain join machines. Instructions. On the DC, configure the server as an event collector. Run Wikutal QC in PowerShell. Create a subscription. Open Event Viewer Subscriptions and create a new subscription. Select Source Computer Initiated and add a test client machine. On the client machine, enable WinRM by running Enable PS Remoting in PowerShell. Generate a logon event, ID 4624, on the client machine and verify it appears on the DC. Expected outcome. Logs from the client machine appear on the DC under Forwarded Events. Verification steps. Confirm the subscription is active. Verify the logon event is forwarded successfully. Bonus challenge. Correlating events across logs. Objective. Use multiple logs to investigate a security breach scenario. Scenario: an admin needs to correlate suspicious logon events with group membership changes. Instructions. Review event ID 4624 for a logon event using a privileged account. Check event ID 4728 to see if the same account added a user to a privileged group. Cross-reference timestamps to confirm the sequence of events. Expected outcome. The admin identifies potential unauthorized activity. Verification steps. Confirm the sequence of events is logical and matches the scenario. Document findings for further analysis. These exercises provide a comprehensive learning path for junior IT administrators, emphasizing practical skills, troubleshooting, and security best practices.
So as you can see here, very, very good answer and simple. But let's see the answer of Claude concerning the same topic. If you try to tell him to read from here.
I'll design a comprehensive set of hands-on exercises for learning Event Viewer in an Active Directory environment, based on the PDF content. Required environment: a test domain controller running Windows Server, at least one member server, one or more test user accounts, administrative access to both servers, PowerShell 5.1 or higher. Exercise 1. Basic event log navigation and custom views objective. Learn to navigate Event Viewer and create custom views for Active Directory events. Scenario: you've just joined as a junior administrator at Contoso Limited. Your first task is to set up efficient monitoring of account lockouts across the domain. Steps: open Event Viewer, eventver.msc, on your domain controller. Create a new custom view. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag first, Observe these events in Event Viewer GUI. Hashtag navigate to action, create custom view, hashtag select security, under event logs, hashtag add event IDs. 4,740, account lockout. 4,625, failed login. Save the view as account security monitoring. Test the view by attempting several failed logins with a test account. Observing the events appear in your custom view. Expected outcome: a custom view showing account lockouts and failed login attempts. Verification: custom view shows recent security events. Failed login attempts appear in the view. Account lockout events are visible. Exercise 2. Event log size management objective. Configure appropriate log sizes and retention policies for AD security monitoring. Scenario: your security team needs 3 months of login history for audit purposes. Steps: configure security log size. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag check current log size, get event log name security, select object, and name equals size, MB. Expression equals $_ to maximum kilobytes /1024, hashtag set new size for gigabytes. Limit event log name security. Maximum size for gigabytes. Configure retention. Open Event Viewer. Right-click Security Log Properties. Select Do Not Overwrite Events. Clear logs manually. Set up log backup schedule. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag create backup script, $backup script equals $date equals get date format. YYYMNDD, WebTotal EPL security, C:/log backups /security $$date. .avtx. Hashtag create scheduled task, $trigger equals new scheduled task trigger daily. At 12 a.m. register scheduled task action. New scheduled task action execute. PowerShell.exe. Argument. No profile. Execution policy bypass. File C:/scripts /backuplogs.ps1. Trigger $trigger task name security log backup. Expected outcome: properly sized and managed security logs with automated backups. Verification: check log size matches configuration. Verify backup script creates files. Confirm scheduled task is running. Exercise 3. Real-time event monitoring objective. Set up real-time monitoring for critical AD events. Scenario: you need to monitor privileged group membership changes in real time. Steps: create a PowerShell monitoring script. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag save as monitoring privilege changes.ps $1 query equals * system. Event ID equals 4728 or event equals 4732 or event equals 4756. $action equals $event equals $event dot source event args. Entry $message equals group change. A 0 in user, 1 in time. 2. F $event. Message $event. Properties 6. Value $event. Time generated SendMail message to admin@contoso.com. From monitoring at contoso.com. Subject privilege change alert. Body $message SMBP server smep.contoso.com. Register my event query $query source identifier AD privilege monitor. Action $. Action. Test the monitoring. Add a test user to the domain admins group. Verify email alert is received. Expected outcome: real-time alerts for privileged group changes. Verification: test alerts are received. Monitor shows active status. Events are logged properly. Exercise 4. Event log forwarding setup objective. Configure centralized event collection from domain controllers. Scenario: configure event forwarding from all DCs to a central collector. Steps: configure collector. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag on collector server WQTL QC/Q. Enable WSMAN credits parole server hashtag. Create subscription WQTL CS. AD security events.xml. Configure source DCs. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag on each dQuinroom quick config. Enable WSMAN parole client. Delegate computer collector.contoso.com. Hashtag configure GPO for WinR new GPO name. WinRMconfig set JIPA registry value name, WinRMconfig. Key HKLM backslash software backslash policies backslash Microsoft backslash Windows backslash WinRM backslash client. Value name, allow credits SP. Type D word. Value 1. Expected outcome. Centralized collection of security events from all DCs. Verification. Events appearing on collector. No connectivity. Proper event forwarding. Exercise 5. Troubleshooting with event correlation objective. Learn to correlate events across multiple logs for troubleshooting. Scenario. Users report intermittent authentication issues during specific times. Steps. Create a correlation script. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag save as investigate auth issues.ps $1 start time equals get date. Add hours -4. $in time equals get date $events equals get when event filter hashtable at log name equals security. System start time equals $start time end time equals $in time ID equals at 4625 1074 5140 1030. Select object time created ID message sort object time created $events format table auto size out file auth_investigation.txt. Analyze patterns. Look for service restarts near auth failures. Check for network connectivity events. Document time correlations. Expected outcome. Ability to identify patterns in related events. Verification. Timeline of related events. Identification of root cause. Documentation of findings. Exercise 6. Security audit configuration objective. Configure comprehensive security auditing for AD objects. Scenario. Implement auditing for changes to sensitive AD groups and GPOs. Steps. Configure audit policy. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag enable advanced audit policy auditpol/set/subcategory. Directory service changes/success. Enable/failure. Enable hashtag configure GPO settings $GPO equals get GPO name. Domain controllers policy set JIPA registry value name $GPO display name key. HKLM /system current control set /services /NTDS /diagnostics. Value name 15 field engineering. Type D word value 5. Set up alerts for critical changes. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag monitor GPO changes $query equals asterisk system. Event ID equals 5136. Register my event query $query action if $event source event args that new event. Message match GPO. Write warning GPO change detected. Expected outcome. Comprehensive audit trail of AD changes. Verification. Audit events for object changes. Alerts for critical modifications. Proper logging of all changes. Bonus challenge. Create a dashboard script that provides a daily summary of account lockouts, failed login attempts, privileged group changes, GPO modifications, service account usage. This challenge requires combining multiple concepts from previous exercises and creating a useful administrative tool. Remember to always test these exercises in a lab environment first and document any changes made to production systems.
Excellent response from Claude. Okay, contains a lot of useful PowerShell scripts, useful tips. But one thing here, when we back up the events in the event viewer, you do not want to check. Let me here. Do not overwrite events. This is not a correct option. You can tell him overwrite events as necessary, or which is called circular backup. You should do this. This is not the correct one. And one thing also, the group policy, it's not, there is a group policy called default domain controllers policy. It's not default domain controller, but it is called default domain controllers policy. So as you can see here, very good explanation. This is not called domain controllers policy, default domain controllers policy, but very, very good and using PowerShell scripts. This is always the answer of Claude. He likes to use PowerShell scripts regularly in all of his answers related to IT topics, especially if it is an Active Directory or something, or Windows topics. Okay, this is very, very good. We see that ChatGPT, on the contrary, uses more graphical interfaces. Okay, so for example, if you need to configure a group policy, ChatGPT gives you how you can do this from the group policy management console. As for Claude, he tends to use PowerShell, which is easier. Okay, uh, and more practical if you will do this on a lot of servers. Okay, for automating the automating the action on a lot of servers. Okay, so we can see very, very good example. Now we will go to another thing. We will ask ChatGPT to make a dialogue between a senior IT and a junior IT and try to explain the same topic. So we have explained it through exercises, hand-on exercises, and a theoretical explanation. Now we need to do this through a dialogue between the two IT or a couple of ITs, so we can get more info from this one. If I go and try to let me see this. If we go and try to get this one, here you go, this is the answer, but let me first try to read out loudly. So let's see if this will add more information uh, to our lesson.
Phase 1. Concept explanation and visualization. Concept. Using Event Viewer to monitor Active Directory logs. Explanation by the senior IT. Instructor, the Event Viewer is a critical tool for monitoring and troubleshooting Active Directory. In the context of AD, it helps identify and analyze events such as user logins, account lockouts, and changes in group membership. Logs are categorized into sections like security logs, tracks logins, logouts, and permission changes. Directory service logs focuses on AD-specific issues like replication errors and schema updates. System logs records system-level events like service failures or reboots. Understanding how to navigate Event Viewer. Interpret key event IDs, e.g., 4624 for successful logins, 4625 for failed logins. And correlate logs across systems is essential for maintaining a secure and efficient AD environment. Junior IT admin's task. Explain the concept in your own words. Provide a real-world example or scenario demonstrating its use. Illustrate the concept visually, such as drawing a diagram or outlining a step-by-step process. Simulated junior IT admin's response. Explanation in my own words. Event Viewer is like a journal for Windows systems, recording all significant events. For Active Directory, it helps administrators track activities such as who logged in, who got locked out, or if a group membership changed. It organizes logs into categories, and each event has a unique ID that makes it easier to find and troubleshoot specific activities. For example, if a user reports being locked out, I can search for event ID 4740 to find out why. Real-world scenario. A user complains that their account keeps getting locked. I can use Event Viewer too. Search the security logs for event ID 4740 to confirm the lockout. Check the source of failed login attempts, event ID 4625, to see if a specific application or device is causing the issue.
So let's wait for a moment, guys. I will come back. So let's continue, guys, the answer.
Use this information to resolve the problem, like clearing stored credentials on the device causing repeated failed logins. Visualization. A flow diagram showing User reports an issue. Admin opens event viewer, filters security logs for specific event IDs, identifies the issue, resolves the problem. Senior IT's feedback and clarification. Feedback on understanding. Excellent explanation. You've captured the purpose and utility of Event Viewer in AD well. Your analogy of Event Viewer as a journal is great for grasping its role. The example provided is relevant and practical. Gaps or clarifications. Don't forget to emphasize the importance of timestamp correlation when investigating events. For instance, failed login attempts, 4625, often precede account lockouts, 4740, and checking both timestamps ensures accuracy. Consider mentioning that event viewer logs can be exported and shared for further analysis. Alternative examples or analogies. Think of Event Viewer as a CCTV system for Windows. Every action leaves a digital footprint. An Event Viewer is how you play back the footage to see what happened. Practical applications. Use Event Viewer during weekly audits to ensure no unauthorized login attempts have occurred. Monitor directory service logs for replication issues that might impact AD availability. Set up alerts for specific event IDs using tools like Windows Event Forwarding or third-party solutions. Phase 2. Practical application and case study analysis. Scenario. Investigating a security incident using Event Viewer. A suspicious account, admin test, was observed performing unauthorized actions. Your task. Apply the learned concept to analyze the scenario. Propose a solution or design based on your understanding. Justify your approach. Simulated junior IT admin's response. Analysis. Open Event Viewer and filter the security logs for event ID 4624, successful logins, and 4625, failed logins for the admin test account. Check the source IP address or host name to determine where the logins are originating from. Correlate with event ID 4728 to see if this account
Just a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys, the answer.
was added to any privileged groups. Propose solution. Identify the source of the suspicious activity, e.g., a compromised workstation. Disable the admin test account immediately. Review other logs, such as directory service logs, for related changes like schema updates or replication issues. Justification. Tracking event IDs ensures a clear timeline of events, helping to identify the root cause. Disabling the account stops further unauthorized actions while investigating. Senior IT's feedback and analysis. Strengths. You correctly identified the critical event IDs for login tracking and group membership changes. Disabling the account shows proactive thinking to contain the issue. Weaknesses. Remember to check account management logs for events like password changes, event ID 4724, that might indicate an attacker's attempt to retain access. Alternative approach. Use Windows Event Forwarding to centralize logs from all domain controllers. This ensures no event is missed, even if the attacker targeted multiple systems. Comprehensive analysis. After disabling the account, conduct a broader review of other privileged accounts using Event Viewer and PowerShell. Get event log with filters to ensure no additional accounts were compromised. Encouraging visual and creative thinking. Diagram. Create a timeline of events with corresponding event IDs. Example visual. Map out login attempts by correlating IP addresses to physical devices using Event Viewer data. By the end of this exercise, you'll have a solid grasp of using Event Viewer to analyze, troubleshoot, and resolve issues in Active Directory. Let's proceed to more advanced cases or revisit any points for further clarity.
This is a good answer. We can see how the uh, everything is going here. We can see two answers with different explanation. A simple one from the junior IT and a technical comprehensive answer from the senior IT. So we can see that the dialogue here is good. We can see uh, two views of the topic from a simple view and from a technical or comprehensive view. So let's see if we can also do this for Claude. If you go there and try to do that, let's see.
I understand you'd like to engage in a learning dialogue about Active Directory concepts, specifically focusing on event viewer monitoring and troubleshooting based on the PDF content. Let me take on the role of a senior AD instructor. Senior IT. Let's start with a fundamental concept, event viewer monitoring in Active Directory. Can you explain to me what event viewer is and why it's particularly important for Active Directory management? Junior IT. Well, Event Viewer is like a logbook that records everything happening in Windows, especially Active Directory. It shows things like when users log in or when there are problems. We can find it by typing event for .msc. I know there are different logs like system and security, but I'm not entirely sure which ones are most important for AD. Senior IT. Good start. Let me help expand on that. Event Viewer is indeed crucial for AD management, and specific logs are particularly important. Let's do a quick exercise. Imagine you arrive at work and users can't log into their computers. Which event viewer logs would you check first and why? Junior IT. I think I would check the security log first because it shows login problems, and maybe the system log if there's something wrong with AD services. I've seen event ID 4625 before when users have login failures. Senior IT. Excellent observation about event ID 4625. Let me build on your understanding. For AD troubleshooting, we focus on 3 primary logs. Security log tracks authentication attempts.
So we'll stop at this and come back to continue, guys, with God will. So let's continue, guys, the answer.
Attempts success/failure. Shows privilege changes. Key event IDs. 4624, successful login. 4625, failed login. 4740, account lockout. System log. Shows AD service status. Replication issues. Domain controller health. Directory service log. Specific to AD operations. Found under Applications and Services Logs, Directory Service. Shows replication and object modification events. Would you like to try a hands-on exercise with these logs? Junior IT. Yes, that would be helpful. I'm still a bit uncertain about which events to look for in each log. Senior IT. Let's do a practical exercise. I'll create a scenario, and you'll tell me how you'd investigate it using Event Viewer. Scenario. Several users report they can't log into their computers this morning, but other users can log in fine. How would you start investigating this using Event Viewer? Would you like to proceed with your response to this scenario? Copy. Retry. Oh, yes. Let me continue in my role as a junior IT administrator responding to the scenario. Junior IT. I think I would approach this investigation like this. First, I would go to the security log on one of our domain controllers since multiple users are affected. I believe this is a domain-wide issue rather than a local computer problem since some users can log in and others can't. I would open Event Viewer. Go to Windows Logs Security. Look for Event ID 4625 failed logins from this morning. Try to see if the failed logins have anything in common. But I'm not entirely sure what specific details I should be looking for in the event details or if I should be checking other logs too. Senior IT. That's a good start. You're thinking systematically, which is important. Let me help enhance your approach with some best practices from our PDF documentation. Here's how we can make your investigation more thorough. Create a custom view first. This will save time. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag open Event Viewer and create a custom view that includes event IDs. 4625 failed login. 4771 Kerberos pre-authentication failed. 4776 NTLM authentication. Time. Last 1 hour. Multiple logs. Security, system, and directory service. In the security events, specifically look for the failure reason field in event 4625. The workstation name field to see if failures are from specific computers. The account name field to identify any patterns in affected users. Also check system log for event ID 1000 service crashes, event ID 1074 system restarts, any Netlagon service errors. Would you like to try creating this custom view? And I'll guide you through analyzing the results? Junior IT. Yes, I'd like to try that. I see how combining multiple event IDs would be more efficient than checking them separately. For the custom view, I go to Action, Create Custom View, right? But I'm not sure about the XML filter syntax for multiple event IDs. Senior IT. Exactly right. Let me help you with that. Instead of using XML, we can use the friendly GUI. In Create Custom View, check by log and select Security System Directory Service. In the Event IDs field, enter 4625, 4771, 4776, 1000, 1074. Set your time range to last hour. Name it AD Login Issues. Try creating that, and then let's look at an actual failed login event together. One key thing from our documentation, remember to correlate the timestamps. A service issue in the system log might appear just before the login failure started. Would you like to analyze a sample login failure event to learn what the different fields mean? Junior IT. Yes, please. When I look at these events, there are so many fields and numbers that it's a bit overwhelming. Like, what's the difference between status code and sub-status code in the login failures? And sometimes I see audit success versus audit failure. Are those important to distinguish? How should the senior IT proceed with this teaching moment? Copy. Retry. Oh. Yes. Senior IT. Excellent questions. Let's break this down step by step using a real event failure example. I'll help you understand these fields like we're doing a forensic investigation. Let's open a failed login event, 4625, and I'll explain each important section. Copy. Log name, security event ID, 4625 level. Information, but shows as audit failure. Keywords, audit failure, failure information. Status, 0xC00006D. Substatus, 0xC00006A. Think of this like a detective's case file. The status and substatus codes are like error codes that tell us exactly what went wrong. Let me explain each part. Audit success versus audit failure. Audit success equals something permitted happened, like a successful login. Audit failure equals something was denied or failed, like a wrong password. Status codes, most common ones you'll see. 0xC00006D equals unknown username or bad password. 0xC0000234 equals account locked out. 0xC0000193 equals account expired. Let's do a hands-on exercise. Can you look at your domain controller security log and find a failed login attempt? What status code do you see? Junior IT. Okay, I found one. It shows status 0xC00006D and substatus 0xC00006A. Based on what you said, this is an unknown username or bad password, right? I also see a workstation name field showing which computer they tried to log in from. Senior IT. Excellent observation. You're already starting to think like a security investigator. Let's dig deeper into this specific event to learn more. In that same event, can you find these fields? Account name, the user trying to log in. Workstation name, as you found. Source network address, IP address. These three pieces of information tell us the complete story of the login attempt. It's like having the who, account name, where workstation name, and how, source network address of each login attempt. Would you like to learn how to create an alert for when we get too many of these specific failure types from the same source? Junior IT. Yes, that would be really helpful. I can see how getting alerted about multiple failures could help us catch potential security issues. I'm seeing lots of these failed logins from different IP addresses. Is that something we should be concerned about? Senior IT. That's a very astute observation. Yes, multiple failed login attempts from different IPs could indicate a potential brute force attack. Let me show you how to set up monitoring for this using what we learned from the PDF documentation. First, let's create a PowerShell script that will monitor for this pattern. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag monitor failed logins.ps1 hashtag this script monitors for multiple failed logins from different IPs. $query equals at query list. Query path equals security. Select asterisk system. Event ID equals 4625. /select /query list. At $events equals get win event filter x path $query max events 100 hashtag group by source IP and count $IP counts equals $events group object $_ properties 19. Value select object name. Count hashtag alert if any IP has more than 5 failures $IP counts. Where object $_ count GT5 for each object. Write warning potential brute force attack from IP. $_ name with $_ count failed attempts. Would you like to try running this script? And then we can discuss how to automate it as a scheduled task. How should we proceed with the learning session? Copy. Retry. Oh. Yes. Senior IT. Great. Let's implement this monitoring solution step by step, and I'll explain how it connects to what we learned about event viewer logging. First, let's save and run our script, then I'll explain each part. Could you open PowerShell ISC or your preferred editor? Junior IT. Okay, I've opened PowerShell ISC. Should I just paste that whole script in? And what exactly?
So let's continue, guys.
Junior IT. Okay, I've opened PowerShell ISC. Should I just paste that whole script in? And what exactly will it do when we run it? Senior IT. Yes, let's paste it in, and I'll explain each part. Think of this script like a security guard watching security camera footage. It's looking for patterns that might indicate trouble. Let me break down the key components. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag first. We define what we're looking for. $query equals at query list. Query path equals security. Select asterisk system. Event ID equals 4625. /select /query list. At hashtag, this is like telling our guard which cameras to watch. $events equals get win event filter x path $query max events 100 hashtag. Now we're organizing what we found by IP address. $IP counts equals $events group object $_ properties 19. Value select object name count. Try running it now and let me know what you see. Junior IT. I ran it and got a list of IPs with numbers next to them. One IP shows up 8 times. Is that bad? Also, why did we use properties 19 specifically? I'm a bit confused about that part. Senior IT. Excellent question. The properties 19 refers to the source IP address field in event ID 4625. It's at index 19 in the event properties array. Let me show you a better way to make this clearer. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag enhanced version with better property naming. $events equals get win event filter x path $query max events 100 select object time created. At n equals source E equals $_ properties 19. Value at n equals username. E equals $_ properties 5. Value at n equals workstation. E equals $_ properties 13 value. This version gives us named properties instead of array indices. Would you like to try running this enhanced version? We can also add some color coding to highlight serious threats. Junior IT. Yes, that looks much clearer with the named properties. But what would be considered a serious threat? Like, how many failed attempts should trigger an alert? Senior IT. That's a very thoughtful question about thresholds. According to best practices from our documentation, we typically consider 5 failures within 10 minutes from same IP equals suspicious. 10 failures within 10 minutes from same IP equals potential attack. Any failures from multiple countries equals high alert. Let's modify our script to implement these thresholds. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag add timestamp checking $time window equals get date .add minutes -10. $events equals get when event filter xpath $query max events 100 where object $_time created GT $time window hashtag group and categorize threats $IP counts for each object switch $_count $_ write host high alert $_name $_count attempts foreground color red $E5 write host warning $_name $_count attempts foreground color yellow default write host info $_name $_count attempts foreground color green. Would you like to implement this enhanced version and set it up as a scheduled task to run every 10 minutes? Junior IT. Yes, that would be helpful. But before we do that, how do we make sure we're not getting alerted for normal user mistakes? Like when someone just mistyped their password a few times? How should the senior IT respond to this excellent question about false positives? Copy. Retry. Oh, yes. Senior IT. That's an excellent observation about false positives. You're thinking like a seasoned administrator now. Let's enhance our monitoring to differentiate between normal user behavior and suspicious activity. Think of it like a bank security system. We want to catch real threats but not alarm every time someone makes a typo in their PIN. Let me show you how to refine our script. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag enhanced monitoring script with smart filtering $time window equals get date .add minutes -10. $events equals get when event filter xpath $query max events 100 where object $_time created GT $time window hashtag group by both IP and username to detect patterns $suspicious equals $events group object at IP equals $_ properties 19 value username equals $_ properties 5 value domain equals $_ properties 6 value where object hashtag ignore if same user has less than 3 failures likely typos hashtag alert if hashtag 1 multiple usernames from same IP potential attack hashtag 2 same username from multiple IPs potential distributed attack hashtag 3 more than 5 failures for any combination $_ count GT3 or $_ group select object expand property username unique count GT2. Let me explain the logic. If a single user fails 2 to 3 times, it's probably a typo. Ignore it. If we see attempts for multiple usernames from one IP, that's suspicious. If we see attempts for one username from multiple IPs, that's suspicious. Would you like to test this refined version with some real scenarios? Junior IT. Yes, that makes more sense. But what about legitimate situations like when the help desk is resetting passwords and users are trying to log in for the first time? Won't that trigger alerts too? Senior IT. Another excellent point. You're really thinking through the real-world implications. Let's add one more layer of intelligence to our script. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag add known legitimate scenarios $helpdesk IPs equals at 10.1.1.100, 10.1.1.101. Hashtag helpdesk subnet $password reset window equals get date .add minutes -30. Hashtag first. Check for recent password resets $password resets equals get when event filter hash table at log name equals security. ID equals 4724 hashtag password reset event start time equals $password reset window. Error action silently continued $recently reset users equals $password resets for each object $_ properties 0. Value hashtag target username hashtag modify our alert logic $suspicious equals $events. Where object hashtag ignore events if hashtag 1. Source IP is from helpdesk and number 2. User had recent password reset not $_ properties 19 value in $helpdesk and $_ properties 5 value in $recently reset users. This enhancement maintains a list of known helpdesk IPs, checks for recent password reset events, correlates login failures with legitimate admin activities, Should we implement this version and then set up email alerts for the security team? Junior IT. That's really helpful. But now I'm wondering, where should we store these logs long-term? The PDF mentioned something about log sizes and retention, but I'm not sure how to set that up properly. How should the senior IT address this question about log management and retention? Copy. Retry. Oh, yes. Senior IT. Excellent question about log management. This is crucial for both troubleshooting and compliance. Let me explain log retention strategy using an analogy from our PDF documentation. Think of event log management like maintaining a library. You need to decide how big each book can be, log size, how long to keep books, retention period, where to archive old books, backup storage. Let me show you how to configure this properly. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag first, let's check our current log settings. $log name equals security, $current size equals get event log name, $log name, select objected name equals size, MB. Expression equals $_ maximum kilobytes /1024 right host current security log size, $current size, size, MB. Hashtag now let's set up proper sizing and retention. Hashtag best practice from our documentation. For gigabytes for security logs on domain, controllers limit event log name security. Maximum size 4 gigabytes. Hashtag configure backup and retention $backup path equals D /log backups $retention days equals. 90 hashtag create backup script $backup script equals at hashtag automatic event log backup script $date equals get date. Format $YYNDD $log name equals security. Hashtag archive existing log with total EPL $log name. $backup path / log name _ date fx. Hashtag clear only if backup successful if right host log archived successfully. Hashtag don't clear immediately. Keep 7 days of live logs $old logs equals get child item $backup path. Filter star.fx where object $_. Last write time lt get date add days -90. $old logs remove item force add. Let me explain the key configurations here. Log size for gigabytes for security log based on the PDF's recommendation for domain controllers. Large enough to handle peak activity periods. Small enough to manage efficiently. Retention strategy. Keep 7 days of live logs in Event Viewer. Archive logs daily to separate drive. Maintain 90 days of archived logs. Automatically clean up logs older than 90 days. Would you like to implement this configuration and test it? Junior IT. Yes, but I'm a bit nervous about clearing logs. What if we need older logs for an investigation? And should we compress the archived logs to save space? Senior IT. Very thoughtful concerns. Let's enhance our backup strategy with some safety measures. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag enhance backup script with compression and verification $backup script equals at hashtag add compression and verification $date equals get date. Format YYYMNDD $log name equals security $temp path equals $backup path /temp $archive path equals $backup path /archive. Hashtag create directories if they don't exist new item. Item type directory. Force. Path $temp path. $archive path hashtag 1. Export to temporary location webtotal EPL $log name $temp path /log name _ date to fx number 2. Verify export was successful if test path $temp path /log name _ date fx number 3. Compress the log file compress archive path $temp path /log name _ date fx destination path $archive path /log name _ date zip number 4. Verify compression if test path $archive path /log name _ date zip number 5. Calculate and store hash for integrity get file hash $archive path /log name _ date zip export CSV $archive path /log name _ date hash.csv. Number 6. Clean up temporary files. Remove item $10path /log name _date fx. Hashtag log backup status $log entry equals at log name equals. Application source equals log backup script. Event equals 9000 hashtag custom event ID entry type equals. Information message equals security log backup completed for $date. Write event log at log entry. This enhanced version includes temporary storage during backup, compression to save space, hash verification for integrity, logging of backup operations, no deletion until successful backup. Shall we set this up as a scheduled task and test it with a small log first? How would you like the junior IT to respond? Copy. Retry. Oh, yes. Junior IT. That looks really comprehensive. I understand the backup process better now, but I have a few questions. How often should we schedule this backup task to run? What's a good way to test if the backups are actually working? Like, could we restore from them if needed? I noticed we're using custom event ID 9000 to log the backup status. Is that best practice? Senior IT. Those are fantastic questions that show you're thinking about operational reliability. Let's address each one. For scheduling, the PDF recommends running backups during off-peak hours. Let's implement a schedule. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag create scheduled task for log backup $task action equals new scheduled task action execute PowerShell.exe. Argument. No profile. Execution policy bypass. File $backup path /log backup.ps1 $task trigger equals new scheduled task trigger daily. At 2 a.m. hashtag create task with proper security context register scheduled task name. Security log backup. Action $task action. Trigger $task trigger. User system. Description daily backup of security event logs with verification. Let's create a verification script that we can run regularly. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag verify log backups.ps1 $backup path equals d. /log backups /archive $verification results equals at. Get child item $backup path filter start at zip for each object $zip file equals $hash file equals $zip file base name _hash.csv hashtag test1. Does the hash file exist? $hash exists equals test path $backup path /hash file. Hashtag test2. Can we read the zip file? $can read equals $falsitry $null equals test path type leaf. Path $zip file. Full name $can read equals $true catch hashtag test3. Does the current hash match stored hash? $hash matches equals $falsif. $hash exists. And $can read. $stored hash equals import CSV $backup path /hash file. $current hash equals get file hash $zip file. Full name $hash matches equals $stored hash. Hash. EQ $current hash. Hash. $verification results plus sad face PS custom object. At date equals $zip file. Base name. Split _ 1. Hash file exists equals $hash exists can read zip equals $can read hash matches equals $hash matches status equals if $hash exists and $can read and $hash matches. Valid, else failed. Hashtag generate report $verification results format table auto size out file. $backup path. /verification _report.txt. Hashtag alert. If any failures $failures equals $verification results where object status. EQ failed if $failures. Send mail message to admin@contoso.com. Subject log backup verification failed. Body $failures format table out string. Regarding event ID 9000. You're right to question this. Let's follow best practices from the PDF and use the Windows event log standard range. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag updated logging with proper event ID $log entry equals at log name equals. Application source equals. AD log management. Hashtag will register this source event ID equals 1000 hashtag standard application event range entry type equals. Information message equals security log backup completed for $date and status. Success and location. $archive path. Hashtag register the event source if it doesn't exist if. Not system. Diagnostics.event log : source exists. AD log management. New event log name application. Source AD log management. Would you like to implement these improvements and then set up a test backup with a small sample of logs? Junior IT. Yes, that would be great. But before we do, how should the senior IT respond to this excellent question about documentation? Senior IT. Documentation is absolutely critical. Excellent point. Let's create comprehensive documentation following the best practices outlined in our PDF. I'll show you how to create a solid operations manual for this system. Markdown. Copy. Hashtag event log management documentation hashtag. Hashtag overview. This document describes the event log backup and retention system implemented for Contoso Ltd's Active Directory environment. Hashtag system components 1. Automated backup system. Location. D:/log backups / schedule. Daily at 2 a.m. Retention. 90 days. Log types. Security. System. Application 2. Verification system. Daily integrity checks. Hash verification. Automated alerting hashtag operational procedures hashtag daily operations 1. Check backup status in event viewer. Application log source AD log management event ID 1000 hashtag weekly tasks 1. Run verification script PowerShell and D:/log backups / scripts / verify log backups.ps1. Review verification report. Clean up temporary files. Monthly tasks. Review space usage. Archive logs older than 90 days. Test sample log restoration. Troubleshooting guide. Common issues. Backup failure. Check disk space. Verify service account permissions. Review event ID 1000 for specific error. Verification failure. Compare hash values. Check file permissions. Verify backup integrity. Emergency procedures. Stop log rotation. Preserve current logs. Contact security team. Contact information. Primary. IT security team, security@contoso.com. Secondary. System administrator, sysadmin@contoso.com. Emergency. IT manager, itmanager@contoso.com. Copy. Would you like to enhance this documentation with screenshots and specific examples from our environment? Junior IT. Yes, that would be really helpful. Could we also add some examples of actual events that we should be watching for? And maybe create a kind of cheat sheet for common event IDs? I'm still learning which ones are important. Senior IT. Absolutely. Let's add a quick reference section to our documentation. Markdown hashtag quick reference. Critical event IDs hashtag authentication events red circle critical priority. 4625. Failed login attempt 4740. Account locked out 4776. Credential validation yellow circle high priority 4624. Successful login 4634. Logout 4648. Explicit credential login hashtag Active Directory events red circle critical priority 1644. Replication failure 2089. Directory service error 4662. Directory service access hashtag service events red circle critical priority 1069. Service failure 7034. Service crashed 7036. Service stop hashtag common investigation scenarios. Hashtag scenario 1. Multiple login failures. 1. Check event ID 46252. Look for pattern in source IP, username, time period 3. Correlate with account lockouts 4740. Hashtag scenario 2. Replication issues 1. Check event ID 16442. Look for partner DC name, error code, time of failure 3. Check system log for related service issues. Would you like to practice investigating some of these scenarios in our test environment? How should the junior IT respond to this learning opportunity? Copy. Retry. Claude does not have internet access. Links provided may not be accurate or up to date. Oh, yes. Senior IT. Perfect. Let's do some hands-on investigation training. I'll set up a few test scenarios in our lab environment, and we'll work through them together. Here's our first scenario. Scenario 1. Morning login storm. It's Monday morning, and you receive alerts about multiple failed logins across different domain controllers. Some users are locked out. Others can log in fine. Let's investigate this step by step. How would you start? Junior IT. I think I would open Event Viewer on a domain controller. Look at the security log for failed logins. Event ID 4625. Check for account lockouts. Event ID 4740. But I'm not sure how to correlate these events efficiently. Senior IT. Good instincts. Let's enhance your approach using PowerShell to make this investigation more efficient. Here's a script we can use to correlate these events. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag investigation login issues.ps1 hashtag purpose. Correlate login failures with account lockouts hashtag. We'll use this to find patterns in the login issues hashtag. Define our time, window $start time equals get date. Date hashtag start of today $in time equals get date hashtag current time hashtag. Get both failed logins and lockouts $events equals get when event filter hash table at. Log name equals security, ID equals at 4625, 4740. Hashtag failed logins and lockouts. Start time equals $start time, end time equals $end time. Select object time created. At n equals event type. E equals if $_. Dot ID. EQ4625. Failed login else lockout at n equals username. E equals $_. Properties 5. Value at n equals source. E equals $_. Properties 19. Value at n equals workstation. E equals $_. Properties 13. Value. Hashtag create a timeline of events $events. Sort object time created format table auto size. Hashtag look for patterns $patterns equals $events where object event type. EQ failed login group object source where object count. GT5. Let's run this and analyze the results together. What patterns would concern you? Junior IT. I see some interesting patterns. There's a lot of failed logins from the same IP address, but they're trying different usernames. That seems suspicious, right? Also, I notice most of these happen right at 9 a.m. when people start work. Should we maybe look at the network logs too? Senior IT. Excellent analytical thinking. You've identified 2 key patterns. Multiple usernames from same source, potential attack. Time correlation with business hours could be legitimate. Let's enhance our investigation by adding network context. Here's how we can correlate with network events. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag add network connectivity checks $network events equals get when event filter hash table at log name equals system ID equals at 5719 5783. Hashtag network connectivity events start time equals $start time. Select object time created ID message hashtag compare timelines $timeline equals at $timeline plus equals $events select object time created at n equals type E equals authentication at n equals details E equals username plus $_ username plus from plus $_ source $timeline plus equals $network events select object time created at n equals type E equals network at n equals details E equals $_ message $timeline sort object time created format table auto size. What do you notice about the timing of network events versus login failures? How should the junior IT respond to this deeper analysis? Copy. Retry. Awe. Simulate junior answer. Junior IT. Oh wow. I see something interesting in the timeline. Some of the failed logins happen right after those network connectivity events, ID 5719. And it looks like it's affecting users connecting through specific subnets. Could that mean there's a problem with one of our network segments rather than an attack? I also noticed that most of the locked accounts are from the sales department. They're all in the same OU. Maybe their network switch is having issues, but I'm not entirely sure how to confirm if it's a network problem versus a potential security issue. Senior IT. Excellent detective work. You're demonstrating good analytical skills by correlating events across different logs. Noticing the organizational pattern, sales department. Thinking about infrastructure, network switches. Let's validate your network theory. Here's how we can dig deeper. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag enhanced investigation script adding network device logs $sales subnet equals 10.1.20. Hashtag sales department subnet hashtag get DHCP and DNS server events $network services equals get win event filter hash table at log name equals system ID equals at 1053 for 1000. Hashtag DHCP and DNS service events start time equals $start time where object message like asterisk $sales subnet asterisk. Hashtag add switch events from Windows event collector. If configured, $switch events equals get win event filter hash table at log name equals forwarded events start time equals $start time where object message like asterisk $sales subnet asterisk. Hashtag create comprehensive timeline full timeline equals at full timeline plus equals timeline full timeline plus equals network services select object time created at n equals type equals network service at n equals details equals $_ message full timeline plus equals $switch event select object time created at n equals type equals switch event at n equals details equals $_ message full timeline sort object time created format table auto size. Looking at this expanded timeline, what other patterns do you notice? Think about the sequence of events. This interaction shows the junior IT developing analytical skills while the senior IT guides them through a systematic troubleshooting approach. Should we continue with this investigation? Copy. Retry. Oh, yes. Junior IT. Looking at this expanded timeline, I can see a pattern I didn't notice before. About 15 minutes before the first login failures, there are DHCP events showing IP address conflicts on the sales subnet. Then the switch events show port errors, and after that is when the login failures started happening. Does this mean users might be getting duplicate IP addresses and that's causing the authentication problems? But I'm a bit confused. Why would DHCP issues cause Active Directory authentication failures? Don't they use different protocols? Senior IT. That's a very insightful observation about the sequence of events. Let me explain the connection between DHCP and AD authentication. When a user tries to log in, several network-dependent steps happen. The workstation needs to locate a domain controller using DNS. It needs to establish Kerberos authentication. The workstation needs a valid IP address to do both. Let's investigate this theory with a more focused analysis. PowerShell. Copy. Hashtag investigate network authentication.ps1 hashtag purpose. Correlate network issues with authentication failures hashtag first. Let's get DHCP lease information $DHCP events equals get win event filter hash table at log name equals Microsoft Windows DHCP server / operational start time equals $start time where object $_ message like asterisk $sales subnet asterisk or $_ message like asterisk duplicate asterisk select object time created at n equals type equals at n equals IP address equals if $_ message match \d1 the \d1 3 \d1 3 \d1 3 $matches 1 at n equals details equals $_ message hashtag now get Kerberos authentication failures $Kerberos events equals get win event filter hash table at log name equals security ID equals at 4771 hashtag Kerberos pre-authentication failed start time equals $start time where object Hashtag filter for sales department workstations $_. Properties 6. Value. Like asterisk sales asterisk. Select object time created. At n equals type. E equals Kerberos at n equals workstation. E equals $_. Properties 6. Value at n equals details. E equals $_ message. Hashtag combine and analyze $combined equals at. $combined plus equals $DHC events $combined plus equals $Kerberos events $combined sort object time created format table auto size hashtag. Let's also check DNS server health $DNS health equals get when event filter hash table at log name equals DNS server start time equals $start time where object level EQ warning. What does this more detailed analysis tell us about the relationship between the network issues and authentication failures? How should the
Sorry guys for the long case, but from my side, this is, or from my point of view, this is a historical answer from Claude. This is the best answer I have ever got from an AI. Okay, I have used ChatGPT, I have used Claude, I have used uh, Gemini. This is the best one. Okay, very detailed. Contains a lot of scenarios, real world scenarios, fantastic PowerShell scripts, and actually at the end, after this long conversation, I asked him to give me the full scripts after this conversation. So first of all, this is if you need to know the full script. So first of all, this is Active Directory monitoring and analysis script. This is the script. Okay, one of them. Sorry guys, here is the script. Actually, they are three scripts okay? Find logging and monitoring alert script. Okay, this is the first one. And we have another one for the backup, event backup and verification script. And the last one is the investigation script for logging issues. As I can see, a lot of work was done in this answer. And actually, I will get this prompt, or I will try to use this prompt more often so I can get a detailed and very good answer. I need more of these answers. This will enhance our learning experience. So I will not go further in that. In the upcoming video, with God will, I'll try to give you more of these answers, but we will try to focus on different events. So Mr. Lovan and Paul have already some events to focus on, but I have other PDFs that contains another useful events IDs we need to focus on, especially if we are working with Active Directory and DNS and DHCP and a lot of things. So stay tuned for the upcoming video. Hope this video is informative to you all, and thank you all for viewing. Sorry for the long answer, but actually you will see it is very useful, and I hope you all get benefit from it. Thank you so much.